Hey everybody. Hey everybody, this is Brett, the Hoosier Carnivore, and you are in the meat locker. And today I've got a very special guest. This is the second edition of the Hoosier Carnivore Meat Locker. And today I've got Todd Bockness from the Carnivore Cure. I'll bring him on here in just a minute. I'm going to see if maybe we can get a couple people in here. Nobody yet, but that's okay. They will come. It's meaty, and they will come for the Meat Locker Live. So, um, this guy that I'm bringing on, he's got an incredible story. He has his own YouTube channel, The Carnivore Cure. He's been at this about a year as well, and he's lost, I think, almost 300 pounds. He's got a huge presence on the Steak and Butter Gang, and he's just a really great guy. And it's been my great pleasure to get to know Mr. Todd Bockness.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome to the Meat Locker, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Brett. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Had two good meals today, and feeling very satiated. Just got done eating dinner, so
Right on. I'm in the middle of a fast right now, so this meat locker is making me hungry.
yeah. Well, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But for everybody who may not know who you are, if they've been sleeping under a rock or they're new to the carnivore community and they're just trying to navigate their way around and know who's who, tell us a little bit about your story and how how you started carnivore and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my name's Todd Bockness. Well, now 41. I usually say 40, but that's no longer true anymore. I'm 41. Let's see, I'm almost 18 months carnivore.
18 months.
Yeah, coming up on the 18-month mark carnivore, and yeah, it was a life changer for me. So, yeah, I started a channel because of carnivore, because it really did save my life and turned everything around for me. But yeah, just to give you a quick little overview, I was just always big. I was 600 pounds when I was 14 years old. Always had lung problems. Just always struggled with weight. I was super big kid, super big when I was born, big as a child, and really big as a teenager. And then, and long story short, I fought it a bunch of up and down diets. And kind of the cliff notes are when I got into about 2016, 2017, I was trying to make a change, started going on a series of more diets that led me to keto. When I was doing keto, I attempted to do a 40-day water fast, which caused some problems for me because I didn't do it right. I didn't take any electrolytes, and I got to day 21. I tanked my red blood cells, I tanked my potassium, which screwed up my blood plasma, which tanked my red blood cells, and that led to a little string of events where I caught COVID, because that was in 2021. COVID turned to pneumonia, which turned into infection and a fever that gave me COVID lung and caused me to have congestive heart failure. And that kind of led into a series of bad health in a real dire situation where I gained 84 pounds more of fluid, ballooned up over 700 pounds, and was stuck immobile in a recliner, was sleeping in that thing, living in it 24/7 on oxygen. Had to make a change, so I went back to the drawing board to do very strict keto, basically, and ended up eliminating things until I got to carnivore and started doing BBB and E, and that was when everything changed. And today I am a pretty new person. As of today, I'm down 278 pounds from when I started. But that's actually like a cherry on top. The truth of the matter is I don't have congestive heart failure anymore. I don't have, I'm not on oxygen. I don't have any breathing issues. In fact, my breathing is better than it was when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Had suicidal depression, anxiety. That's gone completely. In fact, that was one of the first things that went away. My eyesight's better. Just everything healed up, and so I was like, man. And now I'm on a mission,
Yeah.
To get the word out. So
Yeah, I hear you. So you were 600 pounds when you were 14 years old.
yes, sir.
And so I'm sure people are asking themselves, how does a 14-year-old get that big?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people ask themselves that, including me when I was younger. But
Yeah.
the reality of it is that the answer is insulin resistance, and
Yep.
the real answer is insulin resistant infants that are being born because of I forget what they call it. I think it's called ingestation or something when in the pregnancy when the mother has diabetes. But long story short,
Gestational diabetes.
yeah, I think that is correct, and I think that's what happened to me. I think
Mm.
I was born insulin resistant because I was always I was always a very big kid.
Yeah.
In fact, I can even pull something up here real quick for your audience if they want to see it. Because I don't have many pictures left.
I've got some photos that you sent me. Let's see if I can
Did you have the one with when I was 8?
pull mine up.
Did you have the one where I was young, 8 years old in the red shirt?
I don't. I have this one.
Yeah, that was when I was. Well, that was sorry, I gotta move. That
See
was
on the photo it says 2001.
yeah.
Todd. So that's when you were what, 18?
That says 2001. Yeah, that was when I was about. Well, let's see, that was 23 years ago. So yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you look older than 18. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
Like, let me pull this one up.
That one, I was going to bring that one up. This is when you started, right?
Yeah, that's when I started. That was me. That was when I had congestive heart failure. I ballooned up over 700 pounds and was on 6 liters of oxygen. And I just, that was life or death at that point.
Yeah, and I can just kind of see in your face, kind of like the same way Bill Knott was, the look in his face when you see his photos from before he started.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, yeah, and that was actually when I was about 3 months in.
Yeah,
maybe 4 months in, somewhere in there. Yeah, April. That was 4 months in.
Yep. That's a brave photo to take.
It was, but the good news was I didn't plan on putting it up when I took that, but I started seeing that good things were happening, believe it or not, because by this time I was actually down 70 pounds, but the weight didn't matter.
Yeah,
it was the breathing. If you notice, I'm walking with no oxygen, and that was that's what the miracle was. That I was moving with no oxygen.
Yeah. So.
And then I'll present this one. This one I was 8 years old. If you want to pop.
If it lets you throw it up there, go ahead.
Yeah, you gotta present it, but I got it to where you can click it. There you go. And that was when I was 8 years old. I'm trying to find more when I was young, but like no joke, I wouldn't let anybody take a picture of me, and I used to go in my mom's closet to her photo albums, and I used to grab the pictures of me and I would throw them away. I'd hide them in the bottom of the garbage can because I hated them. I hated having a track record,
was
But that was
embarrassing. I
it
get it.
is embarrassing, you know. And this was one that this was my brother's house, and we were having Christmas. So that was around December, and you know, if you back up, I remember that because I remember buying that shirt because I hated all the holidays because you'd have to try to find something that fit and whatever. And you know, we always wore Western clothes and stuff, and these had snap buttons. And this was the biggest shirt that I could get. I forget if I either got it at Kmart or Crown West. I remember the two places I shop. But I remember having it, and I was so mad because every time I'd sit down, the button would pop open. It was the biggest shirt I could find.
Man.
I was just mad. But if you look at that, you know, I'm well over 200 pounds in this picture. I was 8 years old. And I believe it was at least a 3X, and it might have been a 4X shirt, but I think it was a 3X. And, you know, but then, so you look at the body, and then you go to that face, and I was just kidding, you know.
Yeah, you can tell you're pretty young there.
Yeah. And that's what was crazy about it, but that was how that always went, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, you didn't get to wear your comfy clothes. You had to find something you could tuck in and look fairly nice, you know, during the holidays. And yeah, I've been there, you know,
Miserable.
not when I was 8 years old, but when I was an adult, you know,
For sure.
going to you know, my wife, she comes from a big family. And, you know, when we got married, I inherited 20 plus nieces, nephews, cousins. And, you know, and I wasn't, you know, at my best weight by far.
Right.
And had to find something nice to wear, you know.
For sure.
So let's go through and say hi to some of the people who have come in.
Absolutely.
Sandra, Don, he was in the other day in a show I was in. Tracy, welcome.
All familiar.
Charlie,
hey, Charlie.
Darth Carnivore, he lives here nearby in Indianapolis.
That's
He
awesome.
came to my meetup a few weeks ago.
That's way cool.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. He was the first guy to buy one of my T-shirts.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, Minimalist, thank you for coming in.
Man. Hey, Sandra.
Sandra. Josephine.
Howdy.
Hey, there's Christy from Meeting Wellness.
Hey,
We're going to get to meet her in a couple weeks.
That's a fact. That's awesome.
Hello from South Carolina. Yeah, and if you're in the chat, you know, put in where you're from and what you had for dinner tonight, or what you're gonna have for dinner tonight. Always like to ask people that, see what everybody's up to.
For sure.
And Charlie says, "What a big difference compared to now." Yeah,
thanks, sir.
And it's not just a difference in the way he looks. It's, you know, that's just a small part of the whole carnivore journey, you know.
It is. Well, I mean, you know, if I had to list it, you know, I don't know, not being suicidally depressed and then also having mobility back's like the number one. Being able to breathe is probably number two, you know, and then just getting strength back, you know, and not having that fluid build up and healing so much of the lymphedema. Those things are all much bigger. I mean, I know that getting the weight off has helped all those things, but I'm just talking about the vanity of the look of the weight coming off is just a cherry on top. It's the getting everything back. I mean, I got my driver's license back after 3.5 years too, you know.
And that's huge. I mean, that's what I call a step towards normalcy.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what I'm going for. I'm not looking to be a skinny, muscled out gym bro kind of guy.
For
I
sure.
just want to get down to be like a normal sized man.
Right.
You know, that's what my goal is. I want to get down to probably somewhere between 180 and 190 pounds, wear size large t-shirt, size 34, 36 jeans, and just be like a normal dude.
Absolutely.
That's my goal. What I know, you know, where you started. You talk a little bit about where you are now and your strategies that you're using to improve your health and lose weight along with that, and maybe where you want to end up.
Yeah. So I, I did carnivore out of just simplicity and desperation to try to make something work. So I did BBB&E just to keep it because I didn't know what might be affecting me, what was going to stall me, what was going to keep me from healing, and I needed to heal quick. I was in a pretty
Yeah.
bad spot, so I did BBB&E, salt and water only, and I did OMAD as well. And when I was doing that, I was on oxygen. I was really, the total sum of movement to the day was me getting up out of a recliner to sit into a big office chair that I had so that I could sit next to my computer that was literally 2 feet away. And the biggest movement was to get to the bathroom once a day, which was the worst part of the day because, I never knew if I was going to make it because I had to take the oxygen off. And I would turn blue by the time I got there. My oxygen would drop into the low 70s to high 60% saturation, super dangerous. And it was everything I could do to just get to the bathroom and back once a day. So I started doing BBB&E, and I was doing Wim Hof breathing to try to heal my lungs. And that worked really well. And then, but I also was doing OMAD. And that worked great. 6 months in, I was down 205 pounds. Obviously, first probably 85 to 100 pounds was probably just fluid from all the congestive heart failure and the massive amount of impacted fluid I had built up. It was causing me problems.
Speaking of fluid, you told me one time your calves were 34 inches in diameter.
One of them was 35 and a half inches, and one of them was 36 and a quarter to 36 and a half inches in diameter. Yeah.
That's some water retention right there.
It was terrible water retention. My giant belly was so impacted with fluid and it was hard as concrete because it was so filled with fluid retention. And I got so heavy that like my bed broke. So I couldn't sleep laying down anyway. So I had to sleep in a recliner. Yeah. But as soon as you get a recliner, and I had I had the biggest one that you could get, that I could get, that was like a 500-pound recliner. It holds up to 500-pound weight capacity. But I had to be very gentle with it or else it would break. And it did break. I ended up going through 3 of them in that period of time. But I had to get I couldn't use the footstool. If you raised, the recliner footstool, my legs were so heavy they would just mangle all the metal and it was gone, Then no, the footstool, the metal that was on would just bend. It just buckled. And then the recliner would be worthless because if you were trying to recline a little bit so you could go to sleep because I slept in it, then that would just be twisted, mangled metal, and it was destroyed because then you couldn't bring back up the chair. If I couldn't bring back up the chair, I didn't have a chance of getting out of the chair. Wow. So I had to stop. I couldn't use the foot at all, so I had to get big individual footstools that I put in front of it. And then I had ropes I literally tied around my ankles so I could help lift my legs up on the footstool because they're so heavy. Literally more than twice, actually, I had like my hip start to slide out of joint from trying to pick up my legs because my legs weighed so much. It was putting so much pressure on my hip, it would roll out sideways. So, it was a crazy, stupid thing. And then what was crazier too is I'd play with those. I kept ordering different foam and stuffing and stuff because if the footstool is just a little too low, I'm talking like an inch too low, and then it would put all the weight on my ankle and foot, but that would make my knee buckle. And so my knees would swell up like, just giant, giant freaking pumpkins because there'd be that pressure on my knee. But if the stool was a little bit too high, then the back of my calves would hit it and it would start pulling on my hips. And that's when my hips would also pop out of socket and I'd wake up and I couldn't move my leg because my hip was a little bit out. It was the craziest time when all that weight in my legs, it was out of control.
Dude, you have been through it. I mean, we've talked a lot, in lives and behind the scenes and stuff. And I've never heard you tell me that story before.
No, I
Uh,
was thinking about it the other day because
that
there's all
is,
these things in the
wow.
minutia that were building up to it that people are always like, what do you like best about this journey and everything? And I'm like, man, I can't even begin to tell you everything. All the smallest things were such a struggle, before, and just everything. I mean, it's right now it is a blessing to be able to sleep in a bed that doesn't without breaking it.
Right.
It's yeah, I
Things that
mean,
we take for granted,
yeah, it
you
was
know.
crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was so crazy. And now, I was one of those times going to the bathroom. This is when I broke my bed too, because I had a uh, well, I had a purple mattress on a adjustable frame, and I got that trying to get before I got COVID. I got that because I was trying to get rid of the lymphedema I already had to get my feet up, and I was trying to work on getting better. But I was going to the bathroom, and I came out of the bathroom, and I slipped, and I was falling forward, so I had to put a knee on that bed, and that whole frame just exploded. It was just gone. But
Ooh,
but the bad part was I didn't get hurt bad, but I was on the floor, and I like it took me everything I had to get up because the lymphedema was so bad on my legs. It took
right.
me like 45 minutes to get up, and I was sitting there going, "Oh, I'm really going to be in trouble." And that's why I started sleeping in the recliner because now the bed's flat on the floor, crooked, and I'm like, I can't get up anymore just because the lymphedema was terrible, and it was just ridiculous. And so that's why now, I remember, shoot, it was about 8 months ago, first time I was able to get on the floor and get back up on purpose.
Yeah.
Just things that you take for granted.
Yeah, that's definitely what we call a non-scale victory.
For sure.
When you can get down and get back up again. I know I haven't been to that point, so I can't relate too much, but I know for my job, sometimes I have to get down on the ground and look up under stuff and then get back up. Well, now, I don't have to hold on to something to try to pull myself back up or stand up. I
Exactly.
can just shift my weight around and stand back up again.
Oh,
And
for
even
sure.
getting in and out of the car is easier.
Everything.
Um,
You just get it back, and it gets, you lose it a little bit at a time, and you kind of, whatever, you work around it, you don't think about it, you don't like it, but,
right.
because you're losing it, but you don't want to pay attention to it, you don't want to think about it because you don't really feel like you can do anything about it because you've been trying for forever and nothing worked. And that's
Yeah.
what I you know that's
So
what I
you
most
tried to,
was mad about.
yeah. So you tried keto and you've tried, fasting and starving yourself. And I know you've talked about, and you don't have to go into it, but the year you ate chicken breasts
Oh yeah, that was miserable.
was
Basically what
miserable.
had happened there was I got a divorce. Then my dad and brother died, and then everything was pretty terrible. They died 11 days apart, and then everything went downhill. And then I was either wanted out of this place or I was going to have to try to get better. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get better. So I started with soda, not all soda, just sugar, drinking calories basically.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to drink diet soda, stop drinking the soda. That turned into me going on a high protein, low fat, moderate carbohydrate weightlifter diet because I thought that might work. That was miserable. And I did that for 14 months, only lost 37 pounds, and I was the most miserable I'd ever been in my life. I'm sure a lot of it was all the circumstances before it, and in addition to just, not getting any fat, which I know now, but
Right.
that's how I found keto, was because after 14 months, I just, in my mind, I made a commitment that I wasn't falling off any diet, whatever one I picked, I wasn't falling off this time, no matter what. They're going to have to kill me to do it, is what my mindset was. But I was so miserable for so long, 14 months. I was like, like I thought it was because I was just eating dried chicken breast with no seasoning on it. I was eating like egg whites out of the jug. I was eating brown rice. I was eating turkey sausage, and I was eating plain Greek yogurt. I was eating some almonds, and I was having a protein powder. And that's pretty much what all my food consisted of. It was all dry. Um,
And to no fault of yourself, I mean, we've been told for decades that that is the right thing to eat.
right,
Low fat, fat makes you fat. How are you going to lose your fat if you're eating fat? And I can see where on the surface that makes sense. But now we know that it's totally backwards.
for sure.
And I applaud you for doing it for 14 months. It just shows your level of determination when you put your mind to something.
Well,
You did it until you just couldn't do it anymore.
no, I couldn't, and I was like, I got to figure out. I knew I was going to fall off the wagon if I didn't figure out how to make it better somehow. And so I was like, man, if I could just make this chicken not dry, but chicken breast, when you're not seasoning it and you're not cooking it in fat, it's really hard to not dry out,
Right.
And so, and I wasn't a good cook back then, anyways. And so, I looked up how do you cook chicken without it getting dry? Like, what's the best way to cook? What's the best way to cook tender chicken? And I found sous vide. Was what popped up. That sous vide was the best way to cook protein. And so that got me onto Sous Vide Everything's channel, which is also Google Foods on YouTube. He's got a big channel. And I watched him, and so I ordered a sous vide machine for my chicken. But when I was watching him, that dude kept sous vide and searing in butter picanha steaks and ribeyes over and over and over again. He just kept doing it. And I was sitting there just starving. I was looking at those steaks, and I wanted a sous vide ribeye seared in butter so bad I could taste it. So I ordered the sous vide, and I was like, all right, before I go on back into dry chicken purgatory, I'm going to have one ribeye seared in butter. And then, of course, like any, liar does that's an addict, I ended up buying a pack of 4 ribeyes instead of just one. But that ended up being a great mistake, or, Providence, as Bill Knott would say. Because I looked at it and I looked up the calories, and I was like, I can stay pretty close to the calories I was eating if I just cut out everything else and just eat one of these steaks here in butter, and I don't eat the rest of the day. It'll be, I was still in the calorie mindset,
So you're eating chicken and brown rice and that kind of stuff for 14 months. You get 4 ribeyes. So I'm assuming you had ribeyes probably 4 days in a row.
I did, yep.
And did you notice a difference after 4 days?
The first day, within 3 hours eating the first ribeye, I was happy literally my mind was like, I didn't have brain fog, and my mind lifted, and I thought it was like
3 hours.
Yeah, I'm not joking either. I am not joking. And 3 hours, I had my brain lifted. I was happy, and what I thought was happening was I thought I just was having like a, I thought that it was just like a break, like just I was having a treat, and I was having a dopamine fix from eating something that wasn't dry chicken for the first time. So that was what I first thought, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, in fact, I was even a bit worried about it, because I was like, oh no, I'm so addicted to bad food, because at the time I thought that was bad, that this might be hard for, I might be, doing something that I'm not going to be able to quit again, because
having the steak is going to lead you down another path.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm not going to waste these ribeyes. They're going to have one a day. So I ate that ribeye, and I wanted to eat 5 more of them. But I just ate that one, and I felt good, and I was happy. But I slept better, and just a lot of the anxiety and depression lifted just in that one steak. And I was like, wow, I must be so addicted to bad food that I just need this endorphin drug fix. That's what I was thinking. But then I did that every day for the next 3 days, including the one that I had the first day. And every day I felt better, had more energy, I slept better, It was first time I wasn't dragging myself around like a zombie, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I went to Google, and I was like, why am I feeling good on steak and butter? What is that? What is going on? And it brought up Dr. Darren Schmidt in Ann Arbor, Michigan, who's a chiropractor, but he's got a YouTube channel, and it is a keto channel, right?
Okay.
And so I started watching that, and I learned about what a ketogenic diet was. I'd never heard about a ketogenic diet before. I'd heard about Atkins, but I didn't hear it as a ketogenic diet. I didn't, and of course Atkins was crazy because that was, stuff that was going to give you heart disease and, make you fat, right? So I never, high cholesterol, all that junk. But then after 4 days, I had lost 12 pounds. And I was like, why am I 12 pounds lighter when it took me 14 months to lose 37 pounds eating this dry stuff and wanting to eat a bullet every day because I was so depressed and had no energy. I was just so, everything just shut down. And so it's kind of bittersweet because I did find ketogenic diets, but also I would have been so much better if I would have just kept eating ribeyes and butter, in my opinion. But instead, that sent me down the keto path for about 2.5 years.
Yep, I've been on the keto path myself.
Yeah.
2017, my type 2 diabetes was getting bad, and I was trying to change things, and I originally started eating Quest bars. And I was eating Quest bars all the time, and I was actually having a little bit of success with it. And I was doing that for a while, and then I kind of found out about keto, and I started, going down that road and got some books and started doing meat and veggies and stuff. And then right about that time is when all the keto treats came out. Keto breads and cookies and keto chocolate Reese cups and all that stuff. And then it just eventually led me back to the real thing. And then I spent 3 years gaining all my weight back. And then I kind of discovered carnivore and just decided to do it,
Absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, so our stories are kind of similar because I think you said you started keto about that same time.
Yep, I did. Yep, I did, and I went into that. I don't even know the year exactly. It would have been somewhere around the beginning of 2019, roughly. That's about when I started, 2019, somewhere in there. And I just started going into the keto, but that was just 2.5+ years of roller coaster, on again, off again, keto junk food, keto chaffles, keto pizzas, keto pastries, eating the swerve and the stevia and all that stuff, and it was, counting net carbs instead of total carbs because, you're trying to, they're giving me tools as an addict to hedge the bet to my addiction. So, of course, I was, and then also we're no good at I wasn't measuring correctly, because I was having cravings. Cravings never went away. And it was just up and down and up and down. But the good things that came out of keto was I found Dr. Robert Lustig, Gary Taub, and I found Jason Fung was the first things that I found. And that's when things started turning around because then I actually started realizing that I'd been kind of duped in a lot of ways, by medical advice and dietary advice that I've been getting my whole life. And that whole protein diet was nonsense. I'd learned a little bit about that through all the keto stuff, and I was still on the fence. But when I started listening to Gary Taub and Dr. Robert Lustig and Jason Fung, it all really sunk in. And then that was a big turning point when I look back at it, because that was the point that I stopped really just assuming that there was something extra, I was extra broken, extra wrong with me. Had, I was weaker than everybody else. I was, just didn't have the resolve or whatever. And I started going, oh, I was being lied to repeatedly my whole life, and I've had insulin resistance for my whole life. See, because when I started learning from from Jason Fung that what insulin resistance really was, and that we have insulin resistant infants, then I look back. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and the first, my oldest brother's 21 years older than me, and he's skinny. And then the second brother is a little bit slightly heavier, but still skinny. And the third brother's heavier yet, but still not terrible. Then my sister got really heavy. My brother Ty got really, really heavy. And then I was the last one. I think my mom was 40 when she had me, 39 or 40. And I was huge. But once I learned this, I started asking Mom what her diet was like, if she could remember when all those kids were conceived and when she carried those pregnancies. And she was talking about how when she was pregnant with my oldest brother, she was stationed, with my dad. I forget, I think it's North Carolina or South Carolina at Camp Lejeune in the housing, because my dad, that's an Army base, but my dad's a Marine, but they still housed my parents in an Army housing. He wasn't on the base, I don't think, but they were doing something there. Mom remembered when Dad was in training, she just lived off of like bone broth and like quite literally ham bones. They're so broke, but they would eat, she said I was eating eggs and, whatever canned meat we could get, but there was no bread. There's no junk. Right. And so she was talking about that. And then, but anyhow, so as we went down the line, we started realizing that every one of, she literally, you could see how much she went from eating all this fresh food and growing up on a ranch and a farm to eating a little more processed food, a little more sugar. Dad started, they started having money, started having more, processed food and more sweets. And then by the time she was pregnant with me, Mom said, I was drinking Coca-Cola and I was eating cake donuts all the time. She said, when I was pregnant with you, I was addicted to cake donuts, and I would eat a dozen of them a day. And and she was just going off on a cake donut kick with me. And now, it's not our parents' fault. They didn't know. They got hooked on but and so I was born insulin resistant. That's why you can be, a 250 to 300 pound 8-year-old,
Right.
wearing men's size, 3X and 4X shirts and popping the buttons on them. It's the only way you can get there. And that's why when people are always, asking me, how did you ever let yourself get that big? It's like,
Right.
I've been dieting since I was 14 years old, because that was when I found out that I was actually 595 pounds. I remember the day. But, that was when I started my dieting roller coaster. And it's like, I've been trying to restrict food for forever. But the fact of the matter is when, if the mother eats a whole bunch of glucose and sugar, the baby's pancreas has to deal with that huge amount of glucose and sugar, and it becomes insulin resistant. And if we don't understand that, we start fixing that now, I'm not going to be the outlier. I'm going to be, 700-pound people are going to become more and more common. Surely 500-pound people are, because we're not doing anything to stop it right now,
Yeah. Well, there's more overweight kids now than there's ever been.
Absolutely.
But I think one way we can help change that is if we can get doctors to order insulin level tests when you get your blood work done.
Absolutely.
You need to have your insulin level tested, and your glycated albumin and C-peptides and all these tests that Dr. Berry recommends all the time. Because how are you going to know if you're truly insulin resistant until you're insulin resistant to the point where your A1C is out of control, your blood sugars are out of control? If you can catch these people before they get to be type 2 by doing the insulin level check when they get their blood work done, if they can make that a standard part of the blood test, they can catch all this stuff early, way early.
Sure.
So
Absolutely. And that's what we got to do. And we just have to have a medical system, not medical field. Medical field's doing what they're taught, you know. We have to have a real medical system that's not corrupt, that's not bought and paid for, you know. That's what we
yeah,
have, you know, because that was why I felt so much. Well, that's when everything just shifted, because I went from feeling, I went from just not knowing what to do and thinking it was all, just because I was broken, whatever. I was a defect or whatever, and
right.
I wasn't going to get it. I went from doing, feeling that way, thinking that way, to go on, oh, we're under attack, because when Gary Taub talked about, 70, 4% of the Earth's population is obese or overweight at least, and has some form of metabolic disease. It's like, and then he put it into numbers that I could understand, where he said, the only way that you can affect 74% of the Earth's population of seven going on 8 billion people at the time is if you screw up the environment that they're in. The only way you can affect or manipulate the behavior of that many people is to change the environment. It has to be an environmental change. You can't force that many people to do a thing. You can't compel that many people to do a thing. You have to change the environment and screw it up to where that becomes their new environment. And I was like, that just made sense. And I'm like, okay, so this is what's happening. And then when you started seeing, just like you said, I started looking at all the stuff that I never really looked at before, like the pictures of kids lined up for a movie in the 70s to go see Star Wars, and there's not a fat person out there. Everybody's healthy. And you're like,
Pictures of Disneyland from the 60s.
Exactly.
No fat people.
Exactly. And so It's just like, okay, all right. So we're being attacked, and we're actually being manipulated, lied to, and attacked on purpose. So that's when that's when the gloves came off, and I'm like, all right. So, and that has helped me. I got pissed. I got real pissed because, and I got pissed more and more every day, especially when I was getting healthy, because I realized, they sure took a lot of my quality of life and a lot of time. So, and this is very personal, not to mention my brother. And, as far as I'm concerned, they killed, this system killed my brother and my dad, and we had a lot of people in my family. I mean, my mom had gastric bypass surgery. My sister had lap band. Both of them failed. They both gained all the weight.
Yep. And I know people that have gotten gastric bypass and they're still overweight.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't cure the actual issue. It doesn't,
no, because
and it's like, why didn't they tell me that my type 2 diabetes was reversible? Why didn't they explain to me when I got first diagnosed, what was actually causing it? I thought it was something that was, kind of my fault.
Right.
And when you start to figure out how the human body works and why, we're overweight, it kind of, it does make you mad. It definitely gets your dander up. When what we're doing by eating fat and meat, and we're losing weight, and we're improving our health by eating the exact opposite of what we've been told to eat all these years, I'm like, there's something wrong, something majorly wrong.
Right, exactly, for sure. And it's just like, this keeps happening to us over and over and over again. And we keep trusting the white coat professionals, and we keep doing it because we're addicted to the sugar, right? I mean, so much. I mean, it's 8 times more addictive than heroin. But then you tell people like that, they'll tell you it's not true. And they don't, a lot of people don't want to see it because they're addicts. A lot of people still, they don't want to believe that they live in a world where maybe things are literally that bad in the grocery store, and they've been being peddled to. They don't see it because sugar kills you slowly. It takes a little bit at a time. You don't overdose and die in a year or two. right? But it
Right.
steals everything from you. I would definitely go as far to say that sugar and screwing up our food environments cause more, health problems, death, and misery than any other drug. You know,
Right. Between sugar and the companies, pushing out, these cereals with cartoon characters on them and telling us that eating, having the cereal and granola and all these things are actually healthy for us and they're just getting you addicted at an early age. And they don't tell you that eating, mashed potatoes is basically the same as eating a candy bar,
for sure.
inside the body. Sure, it may take a little more time for potatoes to turn into sugar than chocolate does, but it turns into sugar. And they don't tell you how fruit, people think, oh, I got to have my fruit. How the fructose, the human body can't digest fructose. It has to go to the liver and get converted. Just like when you drink alcohol, your body can't use alcohol. It has to go through the liver first. And they don't tell you that if you're this person who eats a lot of fruit, you have a high chance of getting fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, because your liver has to convert all that fructose into glucose, and it.
Oh, I don't know if one of us type in the chat if you guys can hear me. I think Brett might have froze up, but I can't tell. Oh, I think we might have lost Brett. Hey, I can't put the questions up, but I see Darth Carnivore. You asked, while we wait for Brett to come back, you asked, looking ahead, what sorts of additional non-scale victories are you looking forward to achieving on your healing journey? Let's see. One of the biggest non-scale victories that I'm looking forward to is probably, I guess getting all the skin off. That's always been something I always wanted to do because, I've lost 300 pounds twice in my life before, and I lost 200 pounds twice in my life before. And I've always wanted to get finally down to my goal. And this isn't for a vanity thing or how I'm looking. It's just that, skin's in the way, right? I remember, one time when I lost 300 pounds, I was playing softball, but, just running and all this stuff, it's like you're running with a whole bunch of, wet rags or something hanging on you that just pulls you around. It's just uncomfortable and nothing, everything's irritating. It's not about how the clothes look, it's how they fit. It's just, it rides up, it pulls on you funny. It's just always irritating, So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to and some things are already happening. I'm looking forward to non-scale victories like, not having to do a quick load calculation and structural integrity calculation on every chair, and just everything usually crushes under my weight. It's gotten way better, but even still, I'm still over 400 pounds, and so I got a lot. I got a few hundred pounds left to go, and it's still a little bit heavy. So, it feels light for me now, but I look forward to not having that issue. And so yeah, looks like Brett.
Sorry, I got the blue screen of death.
Oh wow, no worries. I've been answering questions while you're gone, so we got you locked down. No worries.
Thank you. I'm trying to get my camera to start back up.
Okay. No worries. I'll answer another question. I believe Minimalist asked how tall we are. I'm not sure how tall Brett is, but I am 5'9.5". Let's see. Just watched 2 surgeries last night talking about what food to avoid for inflammation. They said red meat is inflammatory. Yeah, I think their brain's inflamed, whoever said that. I turned them off. But how unfortunate. Yeah, I know. That's what's so ridiculous. When I was 6 months in, anybody that's watched my channel or heard my story, I say this all the time, but it's because it just chaps my ass, to be honest with you. But, I was 6 months into carnivore. I was down 205 pounds at that time. I was off oxygen. I was no longer suicidally depressed or just, had crippling anxiety anymore. I was mobile again, and everything was, and my oxygen saturation was up to 96% with no oxygen, where the highest I could get it before was 88% with oxygen. And so I was off oxygen. My oxygen was as high as I ever seen it. And my resting heart rate went from like 107 beats a minute still. And even sometimes if I, had anxiety or whatever, go up to like 115 beats a minute. Went down to a solid 68 beats a minute, So it was so much better. And so I finally agreed to have another visit with my cardiologist and do a checkup at the 6 month part. And I thought he was going to be, tickled. This is incredible, right? And the son of a bitch said, I'm worried about your diet. That was the only comment after I got done telling him everything that had happened, what a miracle it was and what I was doing. He goes, I'm worried about your diet, and that's basically was my response to him. I was like, I'm worried about, your brain. I think you need medical attention, doc. I don't think that I'm standing right in front of you with this incredible transformation in 6 months, exponentially better. And you're not even asking questions. Like, you might not agree with it, but you should probably at least be inquisitive, right? Because it's kind of a freaking miracle. And, I think back now and I just think, like, if I would have told them that I didn't, I ate standard American diet, ate a bunch of vegetables and shit. But it was his, pills that made everything better, he would have been ecstatic. But because I was off all medications in just 6 months, I don't think he didn't care. He just preached the dogma about red meat. And, and I haven't been back to a doctor since. I'm going to go now because it's my 8-month carniversary, or going on my 18th month carniversary here in 2 weeks. And I want to have a blood test and hopefully an echocardiogram so that I can show everybody that the congestive heart failure is gone, because I have 0 symptoms of it now. So let's see. Just checking this out. Sorry if I'm missing any comments. There you go, Darth Carnivore. I just got to your question. It says, what has been the reaction from your doctor to your progressive improvements on carnivore? I answered it without knowing that you asked the question, but that's exactly what it was. That's insane, but sadly, it's how they are educated and what they listen to. I know, and that's what I know that there's a lot of the majority of doctors are good people, but they're indoctrinated by medical schools and a medical system that's been bought off and paid for politically by these big companies that just own, they own the science. They get to indoctrinate and infiltrate all these systems to manipulate the masses, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Oh, yeah. When it rains, it pours, huh? Wait, because 1 second. Okay. This is funny. My mouse just went dead. If that isn't so funny. Hold on 1 second. But I see a comment down here. Todd, I've always cooked my chicken for 45 minutes to an hour on 350 degrees temperature, 145. Comes out juicy every time and delicious. Try it. I definitely would try that, Don. I don't actually eat chicken anymore. It doesn't agree with me, which might have been why I was also feeling terrible, because I found out me and chicken don't get along. But I did not have any cooking skills back then when I was doing that diet. Unfortunately, I was not not used to cooking for myself. I was eating junk, up to that point. However, I cook well now, so it's been pretty good for me on that aspect. But um, yeah, let's see here. Yeah, they teach them to follow, not lead. Absolutely, technology is not our friend tonight. Yeah, technology's being a bugger. Um, I get them from our local butcher shop. They don't add seed oil or natural flavoring or MSG. They said put meat on flat plus spices and mix. Nice. Yeah. I think you're talking about the chicken. I have a different problem with chicken. I'll just talk about it for those of you who haven't heard it. But way back when I was doing keto, even, I just noticed that when it was more ketovore, because I was getting pretty strict on it at that point too, because I was finally figuring out that the keto junk food substitute stuff was not the way to go, and I wasn't having the results that I needed. So I was already trying to clean things up a fair amount and get pretty strict on it. And when that happened, I did get strict enough and clean enough that I noticed that I just didn't feel right on chicken. I'd feel better on. I felt the best on red meat, ruminant animals, especially beef, and raw salmon, out of all things. But when I would eat chicken, I was just off. I didn't feel good. I was low energy. I was cranky. I would get what I would say now was knocked out of ketosis, or I would get a insulin spike, and also I just felt crummy. I just felt sick to my stomach. Not terribly sick, but just off, right? And so I stopped eating chicken when I went full carnivore and just did beef and salmon and some lamb, but beef and salmon for the most part. And what had happened was I have a dog behind me here. She's a poodle, but she's going on 18 years old. And for pretty much 12-ish years or something, she had been having seizures. And I couldn't get her to stop having seizures. And I took her to the vet, and they said it was probably just hereditary and it was just going to be that way and all these things. And she'd have some small seizures quite often, but then she'd have, there you go. Oh, can't hear you yet. But she'd have some small seizures quite often, but then she'd have like 7 or 8 big seizures a year that were just super painful to watch. And long story short was, after a year on carnivore, I noticed that she hadn't had any seizures in a year. And the only difference that I'd made was when I stopped eating chicken, I stopped feeding her chicken, and I started feeding her beef instead. And then right at that 1 year mark, I decided to start eating a whole bunch of eggs, 36 eggs a day to boost my testosterone. When I started doing that, I decided I wanted to go get my own chickens. So I bought 20 chickens from a local rancher here that sells laying hens. And I asked her, I said, what's up with the chicken? When I have chicken, it makes me sick. Do you know if they've done anything with the chicken? And she said that they incubate 2 species of chickens together. And it's kind of like a little Frankenstein chicken that it makes up for all the meat in the grocery stores. And that's usually what's happening to the chicken that she believes. But she said, how they found that out was a bunch of pet owners found that chicken was giving their dog seizures. And I was like, holy crap. And so that was the first time I really linked that together with my dog. But then to even go further, I've told that story up to that point several times. But just a little while ago, even about 2 months ago, my mom's got Parkinson's and stuff, and I help her here at the house. And she had ordered a Costco rotisserie chicken a couple months ago, and she gave half of that to my dog. And for the first time, since I started carnivore in January of 2023, my dog had a seizure within 4 hours eating that half of Costco rotisserie chicken. So that sealed the deal for me. Unless it's a free range like local chicken that you can get from a farmer that's not one of those Franken chickens, I won't eat it now. It ruined chicken for me. Is your audio working, Brett? I still can't hear you. No worries. But so that's why I don't eat the chicken. We'll let Brett get his blue screen of death figured out. Let's see. What sort of things have surprised you as a carnivore content creator? You seem like a natural on lives I catch you on. Oh, thank you so much, Darth. I don't know. Well, the thing that surprises me is I can't imagine what Carrie Mann and Bella and the big creators must get for heart-wrenching stories, because the number of them that I'm getting now, I mean, it's like, how do you put them down, and how do you I mean, they have to affect it. There's so many people that have such dire needs out there, and such that are having such amazing results. This is what drives me insane. So I mean, that's what fires me up now, being a content creator, and this is why I'm in it for the long hauls, because when I see all these emails of real people that are really hurting, and then they're having miracles, carnivore miracles, literally, from just simple things that we should all be doing and we don't know about because it's been manipulated and stolen from us, really. But we see all that, and then these people come in the chat and they'll say that they're a doctor or a dietitian or a nurse or whatever, and they will sit here and not listen to anything that we're saying, and they will tell us that what we're saying is dangerous and that what we're saying is going to hurt somebody and all this crap. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think nothing that I've heard in the videos about carnivore hurt me. It only saved my life. But everything that I heard from the doctors tried to freaking kill me, literally put me on the path to having one foot in the grave. So that's what shocked me the most about it. And that's why I know, before I thought I was going to tell a story, and I was kind of had this idea in my head that it would be received widely with open arms and spread like wildfire. But instead, now I see the propaganda that's been out there, and I understand it, and it's given me a lot more empathy for people, and I feel for people. But the problem is, I now look back and I go, oh yeah, I'm talking to addicts. Talking to addicts like I was when I didn't listen to people, and I said the Atkins diet was crazy, and that I wasn't going to listen to some random people online doing something crazy over doctors, because God knows doctors they're trying to save me. They have my best interest at heart. And that that whole awakening and seeing that very ugly but also awesome truth there, because it's awesome to know it for sure now and be able to do something about it, and see so many people doing something about it too. It's pretty incredible. Did your volume work? Can't hear you, unfortunately. No, sir. Yeah, you can just keep talking, and then as soon as I do hear you, even if I'm talking, I'll keep things going. But just no worries. You can text me too if you need to say something, but you just keep talking, and as soon as I hear you, I will. I'm gonna make sure that you're not trying to text me. Okay. Yeah, just make sure that that you're talking. I'll make sure that that I tell you when we hear you. I don't know. You might need to reset again or something. No worries. This is kind of funny. It's almost like we're having a weird solar flare or cyber attack today, because earlier today when I was in the SBG gang, my computer went blue too, and it took me an hour to get my I think it was a power outage here, or not a power outage, but a power spike here that caused it to happen. But it was crazy. Let's see here. I finally found some chicken thighs with skin attached. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, I had a Chihuahua that I used to feed Costco chicken, and he ended up having seizures too. I feel horrible now. I know that it contributed to it. Here, I thought it was better than kibble. Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. I fed Cosette chicken for years, thinking that I was doing better than feeding her the junk thing. I'm like, no, dogs eat birds and stuff, and so and how bad could rotisserie chicken be that's not fried? I thought I was doing a good thing for her too, and nope, they screwed up the chicken on us. I see so many great stories that they help me over the rough ones. What drives me is sharing the healing that I've had together and can spread to others. Absolutely, mental illness. But like, I didn't plan on this getting in my blood, telling this and kind of, I literally feel, I don't know how you feel, but I literally feel like we're fighting a war now, right? And it's definitely helped me. I love this so much because it helps me keep my resolve with what I'm doing, because, I'm just even diet wise, not just YouTube and stuff wise, but diet wise, because now it's like, it's no longer just a craving and going, oh, I should give into the craving. Now, when I think about it, I'm like, I'm not giving those son of a bitches my money, right? This is the enemy that's fighting us, and their biggest weapons that they can bring against us is the money that we give them that they can use to buy, lobby Congress and to do all this evil crap and to, pay for these epidemiology studies and buy people off and push stuff through the FDA and all this crap. They have so much influence with the money that they are getting from turning us into addicts. So we empower these people, the enemy that's fighting us and that's destroying our families and destroying our lives and destroying our health. We are giving them the power to do it. And so now anymore, it's not even just, what do I want to have a cheat day or something? It's like, hell no, I don't want to have a cheat day. I'm not buying one of them damn things. I'm not watching one of their, I'm not going to the doctor. I like, if I broke a bone or something, I would, but I'm not going there for, disease or diet device ever. I'm not going there for drugs. I'm not buying any of their bullshit. I'm not buying into their system. I'm not funding their system, and I'm not going to empower them to, weaponize our sickness and addictions against us to beat us up, and that's what they've been doing for forever and getting away with it. And so, I don't know. I love that part now. Let's see here. Yep, it's also they attack us rather than just letting us share our experiences. Yeah, right. And I will defend myself. Absolutely. And I'm way happier doing that. I mean, that's quite a lot better than, feeling like I was the problem and the doctors. I was the problem and I was a failure because the low fat, calorie restrictive stuff and the drugs weren't working for me. So I must be doing something terrible. And now I realized, oh, well, no shit. It's like these people were literally working against it. And they, I had good doctors too, and I had bad doctors, but they, the good doctors for sure they thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were trying to help me for sure. But yeah, it's the whole stupid system. And by giving those people the money and by giving them so much delegated authority of ours over something so important as our quality of life, our mental health, and our physical health, and our mobility, our longevity, our happiness. I mean, it's just, that was the stupidest thing. That's the thing that I'm most guilty of, is that I delegated that authority to those people because I was an addict and I wanted a miracle pill, a one size fits all type thing. And it was that's what I should. I wish I would have woke up sooner, but we're here now, and I think there's it's a good time. Are you back, Brett? I don't think so. Nope. Let's see. Otherwise, I say just let me say what I want to say or want to share. What I want folks can listen to. Sorry, where I'm sitting, my monitor's a million miles away, so I'm trying to see it. They want to shut you down. Yeah, they absolutely do want to shut you down, and they sit here and they're just little. I think what they are is they're addicts, right? And so they don't want to hear something that's contrary to what they believe, because what they believe is supporting their habit. Everything makes sense to them because they want to believe that they're not going to have any repercussions from getting to eat and do the things that they're accustomed to. And they want to believe that they're safe because the doctors made them safe, because they're on the drugs and they're eating this way and they're having some greens with their mocha frappe lattes and their white rice and their white sugar and all that crap. But it's okay because they're doing it in moderation and they're taking these pills. So they want to believe they're okay. So they get mad at us when we shake that up and say, no, you might actually be the one that's going to die. And maybe your doctor isn't saving you, and maybe you're not okay. And maybe you're not safe right now. Maybe you don't have the security you think you do. And why would you think that? Because 74% of the earth doesn't have it. And they're also listening. A lot of them are listening to doctors. But you think in your head that you're listening better to them. You're following the instructions better. And you don't even see that you're slowly declining and you're in a very dangerous spot. I mean, they just don't want to hear it. It's crazy. I think these communities help all of us fight the misinformation. And to hear all the healing stories is so inspirational. It is no longer anecdotal. Yeah, I know. I totally agree, Jenna. And also, this is why I love, I get paid no sponsorships or anything, but this is why I love Steak and Butter Gang, is because, one, those heart-wrenching stories of people that need help, I can't help them all. I don't have enough time in the day to answer all the messages, and I also don't have all the information to help them all. But there you go. You're back.
I'm back.
There we go. I'll just finish this thought and then we'll get back to it. But I don't have all the time in the day to do it, and I don't have the answers for all of them. But when I send them over to the SBG gang, there's a community there that can help them, and also there's all the success stories to give them hope. Of real people that have really done it, hundreds and hundreds of people, and really thousands of archives of people that have been helped. That's why I love to have people go over there and and go to those meetings and stuff, because it really is helpful. All right.
Yeah, I had to completely shut down and depower everything in order to get the camera and the microphone to reset.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I thought the laptop was going to work, but it's a piece of junk. So,
for sure.
But, thank you for holding down the fort. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
I know you're a natural, because Todd has his own YouTube channel, and I guess we'll kind of go into that a little bit. The things that you're talking about, I could hear the conversation. So, we started these YouTube channels so we could maybe help do something about everything that's going on, and try to help people discover this way of eating and a path to better health. And in your channel, you have a show called the 700 Pound and Counting.
Yep, 700 plus and counting down.
Yeah. So what good work are you guys doing over there? And if you guys here in the chat haven't been to his channel, they're on every week, sometimes a couple times a week. And it's always a great show. So definitely go check it out.
I appreciate that, Brett. Yeah. Me and the awesome Limitless Lindy and awesome Michael Mixed Streams are over there. And basically what it was, when I started Carnivore, I was really looking for somebody that weighed 700 pounds that made it back from it, because I needed at least one one example of hope. Is what I was looking for, and I could not find it when I started. I looked and I kept looking, and there's a few 700-pound people out there that had lost weight with bariatric surgery and stuff, but none on carnivore that I'd found, or ketogenic diets. There was 500-pound people and even close to 600-pound people, but no 700-plus pound people. And you would think that shouldn't make a difference, but in my head, it did for some reason, because I just thought, well, that gives you an excuse to say, well, of course it worked for them. They were only 600 pounds. Now where I'm sitting at, I realize how ridiculously stupid that sounds, and it is. Mm-hmm. But at the time, when you're in a dark place and whatever, that's how it seemed. So, yeah, that was basically how that went. And then, sorry if something's happening to my computer here. There we go. The chat was freaking out because my mouse died a minute ago. But anyhow, so and then I started a YouTube channel. I found Carrie Mann and Homestead How, and found Bill through Carrie Mann, and I saw Bill, and I was like, okay, Bill needs to know, that this works, because this was 6 months after I'd started. I was already down over a couple hundred pounds, and I realized this was going to work. And so I wanted Bill to know that. So I started a YouTube channel. I put a video out there. Well, the awesome Limitless Lindy found me and messaged me, and she had told me that she was nearly 800 pounds, and she had lost 500 pounds on carnivore.
That's incredible.
Mind-blowing, right? Like, just
mind-blowing,
insane. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. And she started her channel for the same exact reason I did, was to get a message to Bill that this could work. And so, of course, through that, we ended up messaging each other, and we had a Zoom call just like this with each other, and we were talking, and we related on so many levels. We're like, you know what? We should have a show just talking about what it's like to be that size, and see if people that are looking for an example can find it if we have a show once a week. And so we did that. And on our second week, Michael found us. And Michael, incredible dude, awesome dude, very good friend of mine now, is in Chicago, but he hasn't left his house in like 20 years. And he was over 700 pounds. And so he found us, and he turned out to be just a computer genius and really good behind the scenes. He's the one responsible for our intro and outro that people like, and pretty much everything in StreamYard that he does. That's why you see me bumbling and stumbling over here, even though I use StreamYard every week. He's the one working all the buttons. I'm just along for the ride. So that's why when I got to handle it myself, I'm a little bit choppy. But yeah, so we found him, and we started doing that show, 700 plus pounds and counting down, carnivore diet transformations, every Sunday. And the idea is just to talk openly about the things that, they keep people feeling bad and in the shadows and not wanting to step out, not wanting to try again. We want to talk about all those things, and give people an example, because we know that we can be the example that we were looking for that we couldn't find when we both started, basically. So that's
there's thousands, if not millions, of more people who are out there heavily, just incredibly overweight, stuck in their house and in the same situation. And you just got to hope, getting that message out there, you can reach a few.
For sure. And that's my plan now, is, and this is, I'm not here to preach to anybody, but, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that I started this in prayer and, healing scripture and watching Kenneth Hagin and Joseph Prince. And, that's where I started. And that led me to videos that gave me the insight to do carnivore the right way. I really feel that. And that made all the difference. And so that's what I just want to get out there. I just want to see if we can't get people, another option. that, I'm watching my mom right now. She had bariatric surgery, I think about 20 years ago. I don't exactly know, but I think it was about 22 years ago. Had gastric bypass. And now I'm watching her waste away because she can't eat enough, right? She doesn't have a stomach. And so she's weak and frail, and she's got Parkinson's, and, she can't walk. I can barely get her to the car sometimes. Some days she does better. Some days she does way worse. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, no worries. But I try to heal her up with carnivore, but I can't get her. I literally can't get her to eat enough food because she doesn't have a stomach. And the doctors took her gallbladder out too, so she doesn't have any bile. And yeah, it's still, even if that's you can still come back from that. But she's 80. She's got Parkinson's, and so I don't think, you got to have the fight to want to come back from it, or you're not going to. And I just don't think she's got the fight anymore, so she just wants to eat, and she's still an addict, and she just still wants to eat that. However, on the flip side of that, my sister is carnivore fully and is down 70 pounds and is doing better than she has in her life. And now her son's doing carnivore. He's down a bunch of weight and is doing better than he has in a long time. Yeah. And it just spreads. So that's what we just got to keep going,
Yep, absolutely. Looks like we got a question from Ted. I've had paracanotis. I'm not familiar with that. Symptoms of insulin resistance are off the charts. Is this what affected you until you got your metabolic state in order?
Yes,
I definitely had insulin resistance.
Yeah. I had terrible insulin resistance too. Yeah. So here's kind of a funny thing, right, that happened to me. So before I could just wildly eat meat, and that was good. But then what happened was I started having glucose spikes knocking me out of ketosis, which is not the end of the world. And being out of ketosis is not the end of the world if you're carnivore, but it is if you're really, really insulin resistant. It'll slow things down, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so insulin resistant that I like to stay in ketosis if I can. I just feel better, I function better, and I have better results when I'm doing it. But long story short, there, what I realized was that I have a compromised lymphatic system, which is healing for sure, but is the slowest thing to heal that I'm dealing with right now. And so that hampers my body's ability to be, its efficiency of being fat adapted, right? And getting fuel from fat. But what healed up very well was the metabolic process for gluconeogenesis, which means that now if I eat more protein than I can digest and absorb, it will turn into glucose. So,
which is how our body makes glucose in the absence of glucose. Because glucose, if people listening aren't familiar with the term gluconeogenesis, it breaks down and basically means glucose, sugar, neo means new, and genesis means the creation of.
Yeah.
So that process, and that's done in our liver. So that's why as carnivores, we don't die of low blood sugar, because our liver will convert protein to glucose. And that's why, our glucose levels normalize. When you're not ingesting sugar, your body will make enough to keep everything at a normal level.
For sure.
So anybody who wasn't familiar with the term gluconeogenesis, that's it.
Exactly. So that's what I was having issues with. And so what ended up happening was I ended up getting sorry, my background's on one of these little breath meters, which they're not super accurate for the reading, but they will give you a range, and they'll at least let you know once you get used to calibrating it for how you feel, and when you're in ketosis and whatever, you can use it to kind of range yourself. So I started doing that, and long story short, what I found out was I now eat a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio, which I should have been doing a lot sooner, because a lot of people talk about it, but the reality was I was getting away with it early on, not doing it. And so I didn't know that was a big deal because I thought, well, I'm just, I wasn't adding fat to things. I was just eating fatty ribeyes, eggs and things, and I thought that would be good enough. It was for a while until it wasn't, because then my body started making glucose out of the excess protein. And so now I know that I function better at a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio. So every time I eat 1 gram of protein, I'm going to make sure I have 2 grams of fat, which is usually 1/3 of it's usually in the meat. I'm talking about cooked meat, because I don't generally drink the rendered fat because it'll give me the runs. So I will replace it with cold fat. And by cold, I mean usually tallow. I'll make a dip out of it, or something, or a sauce or whatever out of the tallow. But I eat that to get a 2-to-1 fat to protein by gram ratio, or it's also known as a 80-20 by calorie fat to protein ratio. And so when I started doing that, and then I started watching how much protein I was eating, and what I found out was that I really need to eat no more than 60 to 65 grams of protein in a meal. And then that'll keep me from, keep me under the gluconeogenesis. If I eat 70 to 75, it's too much protein, and it'll spike my insulin, and it'll knock me out of ketosis because my body will make glucose out of it. So I just have to do that now. Now that I said that, everybody's going to be like, you're full of crap because you're eating 18 egg omelets and that's way more protein. You were right, but that's not. So I did that. I did the 2-to-1 fat protein ratio, and I figured out where I was at. And it's only because I'm going for a blood test here soon. And the eggs help my testosterone, and I want to have a really high score and just see how high it is possible to get your testosterone with the eggs, eating 36 eggs a day. And because I don't have all week to cook 4 or 5 times a day to get them down, I'm just doing them in 2 18-egg omelets, which is way more protein. It's like 250 grams of protein plus per omelet. So I'm eating like 550-ish grams of protein a day right now. But I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for the protein or the gluconeogenesis or even ketosis. I'm doing it for the testosterone boost. So I'm not paying attention to my own advice. I'm letting gluconeogenesis happen for this short period of time while I work on my testosterone. So that's why I'm doing it. However, I will say this. I did find out that my eggs absorb more tallow, and I don't know if egg protein just absorbs differently than beef protein, but when I eat those eggs, I have less of a glucose spike than I do when I eat, I can eat 250 grams of protein in eggs and have way less of a glucose spike than I do if I eat like 75 grams of red meat. So go figure what that means. I don't know. But it's pretty crazy.
It'd be an interesting little scientific thing for people to try and see if it's just you or if it's a community-wide phenomenon.
Yeah, and when I get back from Texas, I'm going to get one of those CGMs. I'm also going to start testing a few things like that. And you don't have to do that to be carnivore by any means, but I do just want to see for my own fruition, like why that is between the eggs and the red beef for me. That'd be interesting for sure. That's a great idea, Brett.
Yeah. I've got a CGM here that was given to me that I'm considering using. But I want to get my blood tests and stuff done first, and then maybe use it. I don't know. I was going to make maybe a video series with it where I check it all the time. I don't know. I got some plans for it. I'm going to do something with it.
Absolutely.
So
I would definitely use it if you can, because it'd be fun. I was measuring food for a while when I decided to go 2-to-1, just because I needed to see it. Like, I just needed to create benchmarks. I needed to see what 60 and 70 grams of protein of ribeye with fat on it look like. I needed to see what 150 grams of fat and tallow look like. I needed to see what these portions look like. I needed to get the feel for how many spoonfuls it was roughly. just so I didn't have to measure. And once I got that down, it was totally worth it. But then I needed this thing because then it gave me a benchmark, and I go, oh, this is how I feel when my ketones are, and I don't know how this thing, all that I know is it says that you need to be higher than 10 and lower than 40 to be in an optimal ketosis level on this thing, whatever that means. But now I know by having those numbers, I'm like, oh, this is what I feel like when I'm at 20. This is what I feel like when I'm at 30. This is what I feel like when I'm at 40. I've gotten mine up to like 59 through fasting, but then Michael's gotten his pegged at 99 because he did some crazy fast. And so, but it gives me the benchmark to be able to relate to how I felt when I was at those spots and kind of give myself a little bit of a idea. So now I know, oh, it's good when I feel like this, and it backs it up, And so I don't know. It just gives me a starting point or a benchmark to work from, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still using the old ketone pea strips. They're also not accurate, but I use them to know. It will tell you if you are or are not in ketosis at some level.
Exactly.
If you can pee on it and it comes back with no color, you're not in ketosis. But if it comes back and you're on the chart somewhere, your body's making ketones and you're doing okay.
Exactly.
What's really nice with the blood meter, where the pea sticks fail, is you could be still making ketones, but you're not expelling extra ketones that show up on the pea strip. So you could still be making ketones, but you're using all the ketones.
Right.
So that's where the blood one will actually give you a true value. But
yeah.
I know when I did my 12-day fast at the beginning of the year, I had those pea sticks all the way to the dark purple. I mean, right. it was maxed out. So that was interesting to see, as I was in that. Probably, I think after about day 6, I was getting max color on
right.
the pea stick. So
that
was interesting to see.
It is. I was so insulin resistant that it took me. Well, and I was under eating fat and overeating protein, but it took me 9 months to get one of these stupid things. I had the pea sticks, I had the blood meter, ketone blood meter, and I had the breath meter, and it took me forever. I didn't really get officially into ketosis. I was always bordering on just below ketosis for 9 or 10 months until I started eating a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio and fasting a bunch. I could not get into ketosis to save my life.
Yeah. It takes a while to tweak it and to figure out exactly where you need to be. And I think when you first started, like you said, you were getting too much protein. You weren't watching your ratios, but you were still having success.
Yeah.
And then your body healed enough to where now you need to start tweaking things and dialing it in.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And it was good that you noticed that. So.
Exactly. This is why I don't make a lot of somebody early on, and I still laugh about it today because I was about at the 6-month mark, and people are like, I made that YouTube video to Bill and stuff, and people were like, and it's still up on my channel. I'm not taking it down. But I put a video up because everybody's asking me to put a how to start carnivore video. And I'm like, okay. So I put a how to start carnivore video up, and I think it even says part 1 or something, because I was planning on making a bunch of them. But I put one how to start carnivore video up, and I don't hate most of the information, but there's some things in there I was wrong on. But like 3 weeks later, I disagreed with myself. And I was just like, I'm not making any more of these how-to videos until I get, way further down the road and I stop making changes, because I do things different now than I did 4 weeks ago and 8 weeks ago and 12 weeks ago. Like, it seems like I'm always making changes that are necessary because I'm learning things as I go. And there's just so much to know. So now I'm just, I'd love to help people and tell them, but I'm not making a how-to. I'm just saying I'm making how I do.
Yeah,
how it worked for me videos so that people can
that's
see it and understand.
yeah. I think that's probably the best thing is just learn from your own examples and then just tell people what you do and what's working for you instead of trying to tell somebody how to do it. I mean, you can
Exactly.
tell them how to start, but it's going to be up to them to figure out where to go after the first day.
Yeah, for sure.
We got an interesting comment here, and we this comes up quite often. Um, he gets no love when he talks to friends and family about carnivore. Wife's on board, but her family thinks nuts. Do you ever run into that with anybody? I know you said, you've got people around you that are doing it, but
Yeah.
you ever run into people that think you're nuts or look at you like you got two heads?
Yes, but not in my family anymore.
Yeah,
I have a pretty tight family, you know, and they all knew me when I was dying, so they know that whatever I'm doing is working. So it's like
right,
they don't dare, right? They're like, they might. I'm sure some of them don't believe it, but I think that behind, in their head, they're going, well, whatever. If it's working for him, good, because he was going to die. So I think
right.
that's what they're thinking. But I don't run into that. No, I really only run into it on YouTube and, the occasional person that'll say something like, out in the work world or something that really that didn't know where I came from or whatever. But yeah, and I just don't care. To be honest with you, it's like my whole thing is if I keep doing this and I get this next 200 pounds off and then I get the skin off and I get and everything heals up and I'm still
Yeah,
alive in 10 years and I didn't have colon cancer and I didn't have a heart attack and all these I don't have blockages in my arteries, I didn't have a stroke, you know then I'll be able to say, well, you know I lost 400 plus pounds. I came back
right.
from literally the grave, and
Yeah,
I've been doing it for 10 years. So I'm just saying I'm going to speak with results and
right.
then be an
That's the
example and
best
say,
thing we can do is just
yeah,
lead by example and
for sure.
show them that it's working. You know, and if they're so concerned, where was their concern when you were, 700 pounds?
Exactly.
You know,
Yep. Yeah, we talk about that a lot too because it's funny, right? Because when I was 700 pounds, those people didn't care about my diet. Well, why didn't they care? Well, because it made sense to them because, well, you eat bad. There's no sense in trying to tell you not to eat bad. Um, and so you deserve to be that size. I eat better than you. And I know that because I'm not your size. That was literally the thinking.
right,
But when you eat what they think is bad and say, no, I had to get away from what you were eating to heal myself, then they go, no, that's not true. That can't be true.
right.
You're
Because
you're
you're
gonna make yourself sick. Whatever you're doing here, this is just a fad thing. You're going through a fad, but really you're gonna get sick soon, and really you're gonna die soon. And I'm really, now I care about you, and I'm really concerned. It's not that at all. They're concerned because you're doing what they had deemed was bad and sick, because they said, well, at least I don't eat that way, and you got healthy, which is now making them go, well, maybe I shouldn't have all these diet cokes and lattes, and maybe the
right.
white bread and pasta is not good for me.
Yeah,
And just because I'm having a broccoli with it or whatever. Now it's making them wonder if they're going to have to stop doing what they're doing, and maybe they're not as safe as they thought they were. Shakes their whole worldview.
yeah. And they don't want to admit that what they thought they were doing was the wrong thing.
Yep, for sure.
How many people don't like to be shown up? But,
No, they don't. They're happy as long as they're doing better with you. I mean, everybody loves that. Like, well, at least I'm not that guy.
right.
Like, everybody loves that.
So Jeannie's, her family's the same. They'd rather get a knee replacement instead of trying carnivore for a month. Yeah,
That's
7-year-old nephew's on meds for nervous stomach, but won't try carnivore. And it's one of those things. I mean, if you can just get them to try it, or at least get the info in front of them, like I can't get my 17-year-old daughter to try it, although I know, she would benefit a lot from it. But you know, at least now she knows about it. So, you know, later on down the road in the future, if she really has some metabolic issues, she knows this is a thing and can try it. Whereas, 20 years ago, we didn't even know this was a thing.
For sure.
Well, let's wrap
Yeah,
things up a little bit.
I'm just gonna do one more if you don't mind. I see on here it says Ted
Another
asked me
question?
this. Yeah, he said, Todd, please talk about your vision improvements. So I was just gonna show one thing real quick, and then we can wrap this thing up.
I did want to talk about Austin a little bit
Yeah, for
before
sure.
we log out.
Can you
But
pop that on the screen? It won't let me present it. So this is just I'll just read it real quick. It says, Mr. Bockness, my privilege to deliver these optomap retinal images, which demonstrate an improvement in blood vessel caliber and an improvement in retinal circulation and absolutely no diabetic macular edema. At the time of today's examination, I am astounded by your improvements you have made in your health, and I would like you to know that I am rooting for you throughout this process. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, concerns, or blah, blah, blah. But
hey, that is amazing.
Yeah. And the reason why I put that up there was because he did the scan on my eyes, and I was in there. I went in there because I couldn't see anymore. And I thought, oh no, what's happening to my eyes? Well, what was happening was my eyes had healed. And so my prescription glasses were no longer the right prescription. And in fact, they healed so much in 7 months, because I was just in there 7 months earlier, that my optometrist came in and he goes, were you really in here 7 months ago? Is that your file I pulled up? And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what file you pulled up, but I was in here 7 months ago. And he goes, the retinal imaging we have on file doesn't look anything like your eyes. And he goes, it's like we have the wrong eyes on here, And so I told him what I was doing. I said, well, I am, at the time I was like 230 pounds lighter. And I said, I've been eating no sugar or no carbs and no junk food. I just literally I told him what I was doing. And he goes, well, this is flat incredible. And he goes, my vision had healed up so much. He ends up doing it. And I forget, I was in there for forget what it even was, but my stigmatism went down like 2.5 full points in both eyes. But the biggest thing was, I have no retinal edema. So that means my retinal walls got thicker too. They're no longer stretched out like as much of a football shape. And the vein walls in there and the arteries and veins in my eyes got thicker and healthier. And this was incredible to me because my entire life since I was a kid, I've never been able to get contacts or LASIK surgery to correct my vision because my vision was too bad. I had like 2200 vision or something. I get in trouble for saying I was legally blind. It's just what my first optometrist said, but it's not technically true because if you can correct it, it's not legally blind. And I get that, but 2200 is if you have vision of 2200 and you can't correct it, then you're legally blind. But because I could correct it with glasses, I wasn't legally blind. I get that. It was correctable. So, but without glasses, I met the criteria of blind and not be able to drive because I was 2200 vision. And I had been that my whole life. And I never could get contacts in it, so it made me mad. But now my eyes healed up so much, I can get contacts and LASIKs for the first time. Now, I've since researched LASIKs because I was thinking about doing it, and I won't ever get that. But what's really cool was he told me, he goes, well, I would recommend you don't get contacts yet and you don't get LASIKs because he goes, you're going through some amazing metabolic changes right now and no telling how much more they're going to heal. So my own eye doctor said, you're healing so well and so fast, your eyes might correct even more. So you shouldn't do something permanent or expensive right now. you should give it a few years and see how much more you can heal this if you do it. So that's just what I wanted to show. And yeah, my vision is so much better. And then what's even crazier, this makes a little bit of sense, but not really. I think this actually healed my, was more of my hormones. But the thing that's made my eyes feel even better since then is the Lugol's iodine in crazy high doses, 50 milligrams. My vision's gotten better, and my eye strain and everything's gotten better too. So I just want to tell you that, Todd, that's awesome. I heard that lifestyle reverse muscular degeneration. Absolutely, it did. So I just wanted to put that out there because I do think that's a big thing for a lot of people, especially because since I've been doing this, my sister's so lucky that she got on Carnivore because she had 2 retinal hemorrhages, right? And she's been having series of eye surgeries, and she's doing a lot better. I wonder where she would have been if she would have still been eating sugar, because she was carnivore for 6.5 months when they finally ruptured. She had diabetic retinal edema, and she's 10 years older than me. And then Limitless Lindy's daughter's going through that same thing, and she's having a rough time. So, I mean, it's nothing to play with. Like, I was heading down that road where I was going to have, be risking being blind. So that's quite the improvement. I'm very, that's a miracle for me in itself,
Sugar messes with everything in our body. Eyes, our gums, our muscles, our organs, our blood vessels, our brain, our heart, everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my vision has actually gotten a little better too. In the past year, I had an eye exam about 6-8 months ago, and yeah, I'm 54 and I have 20/20 vision still.
That's awesome.
And the eye doctor said those are the best pair of 54-year-old eyes I've seen in a long time.
That's way good.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, I told him what I was doing too, and I told him to check out Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. She's the doctor optometrist carnivore.
Yep. She's actually helping Lindy's daughter because she got a hold of her, and so she's been kind of coaching Lindy's daughter a little bit on trying to help her. So,
final question: do you use a vibration plate?
Absolutely, I do. Yep, I use a Life Pro vibration plate, and Michael and Lindy turned me on to that, and that was huge for me. So, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Heck Your Health.
Fun stuff.
I can't wait. I get to shake your hand in about 2 weeks.
Exactly.
It's going to be awesome.
Can't wait either, man. So we can announce it now too. So we have
that's what I was going to ask you. What can we talk about? Because I know things, but I wanted to see what you wanted to say.
For sure, we can announce it all. So we're having a killer live stream from an undisclosed Airbnb location where we'll be staying, but we are going to have a pretty awesome live stream with some. We're very blessed to have Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Giltz, Dr. Philip Vardia. Carrie Mann's going to be on it. Bella the Steak and Butter Gal, Dante Ferrigno, Adam from Carnivore Today, Limitless Lindy, and myself. We're all going to be on the live stream. There's 10 of us, and we're calling it. What were we calling it? Because I haven't advertised it yet, so I didn't see the thumbnail. But we're basically calling it. I think it's Meetup, Carnivore Roundtable Meetup, because we are eating dinner when what we're wanting to know is that everybody we're all going to be at the same place, so it's not going to be just a remote check-in. We're all actually going to be meeting each other and having a 3-hour live stream and talking about carnivore and basically here's what I want for people to see is because this is why I was thinking about this, because I get people that say, you're wrong because doctors say you shouldn't have red meat. You're wrong because doctors say you shouldn't have cholesterol. And what you're doing is temporary. So what I want to do is talk about our actual results. And, Carrie had a heart murmur heal up.
Right.
Bella had so many skin issues and so many things heal up. It's not even funny. Lindy's lost 500 pounds. Adam had a traumatic brain injury heal up. I'm down almost 300 pounds and had just a plethora of health problems heal up. Dante's had, everybody knows Dante's, transformation is incredible, right?
Mhm.
Not to mention all the mental health. So I want them to be able to use us as examples, but then talk medically about it to people who say that doctors wouldn't agree, so that they can
Right.
see it there. And also, I want them to see those doctors doing it while eating a dino ribs and tomahawk steaks, that terrible red meat that's supposed to be so dangerous. If it was that dangerous, would the doctors be, eating it? It's pretty funny that, the number one killer of cardiologists in this country is still heart disease. But yet people will say that what these doctors are eating is worse than what those doctors are eating, even though
Right.
their doctor, they're not even saving their own lives, much less anybody else's, right?
Yep. It's like barbers dying of baldness.
Exactly. It's so hilarious, man. So I just
Who's
want
going
to
to be who's going to be cooking all those steaks?
that is going to be the main thing is Brett is coming
That's
down.
right.
Yep, and that's also that's some other fun stuff. We're gonna have people behind the scenes because this is a big effort, and we're gonna have a smoker, and Brett's coming down to be cooking, and also Ashley from Carnivore Brothers is gonna be
Yep.
helping cook as well. And you
Yep.
guys are gonna be manning the grill, which I really really appreciate because we know how I deal with dry chicken, so we want to save us from having any nightmares. And
Yeah. Me and
yes,
Ashley are going to knock it out of the park. We're going to get all that meat going for you guys and just have just the most incredible spread and delicious meat. And I can't wait to cook a steak for Dr. Chafee. Can't wait to cook a steak for Dr. Baker,
exactly.
Bella, and for you, and for all these wonderful people that are going to be there. It's an incredible honor to be the guy, on the team. Me and Ashley making all the food for you guys. It's just I can't wait. I'm pumped. I'm psyched about it, and you know, I've had people say, "Well, don't you want to be there to, you know, do all the things?" I'm like, "I'll be there to do all the things, but I also get to cook, which is I love to do." So,
That's awesome.
I really appreciate you inviting me and making me even just a small part of what's going on. I think we're going to
Well,
make carnivore history while we're there, and
no,
it's
it's no
probably going to
small
be
part.
something we're going to probably start doing every year. I hope.
I'd hope so, but it's no small part. We can't screw up the doctor's steak. I would lose my carnivore card if I gave him an overcooked steak because I got busy. And yeah, it'll be my pleasure to eat it for sure, an honor to eat it. But no, I appreciate you coming down and helping us out with it, and it's going to be fantastic. To answer that question, it's going to be on June 1st at 7 p.m. Austin time. Might even start it at 6. We're probably going to have some behind the scenes stuff going early,
Yep.
the prep and the cooking and the smokers and things going off. But then the live stream starts at 6, and we just want everybody, this there's going to be a lot of viewers, so we won't have time to answer every question. We're going to try to get to as many super chats as possible, but this is going to actually be select questions, so you're going to start seeing it advertised on everybody's channel here soon enough. And what we would like to do is we would like you to pick a doctor you'd like to ask a question to, and then we would like you to write that question in the comments. We're going to go through them and pick out
Yep.
the most interesting comments, and if there's duplicates of that comment, the first one will go up, and we will ask the comments to the doctors and kind of go around the table. And then we're also gonna have more of a personal meeting as well, just so we can have more of a dinner than work atmosphere is what we're shooting for. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And they're bringing in all the equipment, and I think Carrie's daughters will be there, um, probably helping to go through all the questions and, you know, try to help things run smoothly. And yeah, it's going to be fun. And I'm going to have, my phone, and I got a new little one of those mounts, you can walk around and keeps the camera from bouncing.
oh,
Now,
nice.
yeah, I got one of those, and I'm going to be probably making some videos while I'm cooking, and videos of the place, and probably maybe even get one of these doctors off to the side, maybe not, during the thing, but maybe before or after or something, and do a quick little video with them, So I can't wait. I know it's going to be fun, and all these doctors are wonderful people.
For sure.
Right? And the other people that are going to be there, I know are all wonderful people too. So it's just going to be a really good time. And I know we're doing this thing, and we're taking super chats and stickers, but what's all that money going to go to?
Right. Right. For sure. And also, I was going to answer here too. It says, is Kilt's going to be there? He is going to be there for sure. And then also, no, this isn't the one in Wyoming. Chafee is coming to one, I think, in Wyoming after that. But no, this is we're having a barbecue and we're live streaming it. So this one's not open to the public, but it will be the all 10 of us on live stream on YouTube. And so that's the one we're talking about now. However, speaking of fundraisers, Brett, there's also a Healing Humanity fundraiser barbecue and meetup on Sunday afternoon, which we will post the. I should have had the link. Let's see, where can I? Oh, hold on. Maybe I can. I will here. I will grab it real quick. Hold on. Sorry, I should have the link. But there's a fundraiser on Sunday afternoon with Healing Humanity team, and Chafee's going to be there, and Bella Steak and Butter Gal's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Limitless Lindy's going to be there. A whole bunch of the gang. I think there's more doctors that are coming, which that is open to the public, but there's only 95 seats available, which last I checked, I think there's about 30 seats sold, and I think they just went on sale Saturday. So it is going to sell out, so make sure you get your tickets quick. They are a little bit expensive because it's a good barbecue joint, and it has to pay for the food, and we're trying to have enough left over to be, it is a fundraiser for the documentary, so it's $150 a seat. I understand that that's a little bit steep, but unfortunately, barbecue and all you can eat barbecue in Texas is not cheap. So,
for sure.
Yeah, so that's what that ended up being. And then let me find this real quick while I'm talking.
I want to thank Catherine Miner for saying that everyone will love my steak. She would know because she eats it all the time. That's my wife.
That is awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And you guys are making me so hungry right now. I'm three and a half days into a 7-day fast. And copy. And it's definitely making my mouth water. So 1 second here. Okay, there's that. Now I can grab it. Brett, I'm going to put it in the private chat so that you can put it on the screen because it won't let me post. 1 second. I got to grab it. This is dumb. I didn't have it on my... Copy link.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't go to that because I'll be when that's starting. I'll be on my plane going home.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately,
well, you'll be missed.
I can change things around, but I don't expect I'll be able to do that. All right, here's the link for it.
Thank you, sir. So that is the meetup. If you want to on Sunday, the fundraiser, that'd be awesome. If you want to show up there. Also, let's see. Me and Lindy are probably going to have our own smaller meetup because there's an SPG meetup we're having on Saturday, but that's a kind of that's a Fogo de Chao thing, I think. Howdy. And then the Sunday one. So we're going to try to do one, I think, probably at the Salt Lick on Friday around 11, right? Which Friday is it's the Fridays before all this. So that's going to be blah, 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 blah.
Friday's the 31st.
The 31st, yep. 31st of May. We're probably going to do something like that, but it's going to be kind of short and sweet because we have DEXA scans scheduled at 2:45, and so we'll have to leave at like 1:30 to make it there. But yeah, so but we're just trying to fit it all in, and then from there, there's going to be time. We're going there. Me and Lindy and a bunch of people are going to be there for like 9-10 days. So if we have any more extra time, there's a lot of events and things going on we're trying to hit. But no, this is in Austin, Texas. Yeah. Because it's at the Hack Your Health convention in Austin, Texas. So yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, we're a bunch of us are meeting down there at Hack Your Health because I'm going with the Steak and Butter Gang. They are a bunch of their people there are key speakers at the Hack Your Health convention. Also, I'm going with, Carrie and Adam. They are speaking for Healing Humanity. And so I'm going to see those guys. Also, a lot of these, Kilts and everybody speaking up there. We're going to go see them. They're on the SBG panel. So is Dr. Baker, Chafee's up there. So that's what we're going to see. And then Carrie and Adam are going to be doing some filming for the documentary while they're down there. Yep. And then we're going to be having multiple live streams to show as much of it as possible. And not any of the documentary filming, of course, because that's got to be
right. If you're a member of Carrie's channel, he often does behind the scenes photos, and he shares those in his members only live streams, and he posts pictures in the members only section. So I'm sure he's going to share some behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, he doesn't share any of the things that are going to be in the film because it'll affect the film's ability to be put on Netflix or whatever, and he doesn't want to do anything to endanger that.
For sure.
So, but yeah, I heard he's going to be filming Dr. Chafee. He's going to be filming you. He's going to be filming Lindy. He's going to be filming several people.
Their time's getting full. I told them, don't worry about filming me. I'll come find you guys in a few months because I'm close enough to them. They should film. Chafee's coming in from Australia. Lindy's coming in from Australia. Yeah. So it's like film those people. I'm just a short 12-hour drive away or whatever. I can get here pretty quick. So but yeah, it's going to be a good time, and Carrie and Adam are doing just such a great job of being, doing the best, making the money stretch, because
they are.
This community's been fantastic on funding the documentary, but also documentaries are really expensive and the equipment's so expensive. So they're doing everything they can. And that's why we're trying to recoup the money every time they go someplace with a fundraiser so that we can make the money last, so that we can make the best documentary that they can make, so, but we appreciate your guys' support. It's incredible. And I can tell you, I've seen a trailer for the documentary, and it's pretty incredible for sure.
Yeah. I've been privy to see some pieces of that too.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite touching. It is. Going to be quite moving and inspirational. And I can't even imagine what the whole movie is going to be like. It's
I know, especially for this community, because we have all become really close with everybody involved. That it's like, man,
yeah,
that's going to be crazy.
and it's all and it's events like this going to Hack Your Health and doing this big meetup. It just brings us all closer together, and it just grows the community. It strengthens the community, and the community is growing like crazy. I mean, there's
Sure.
more YouTube channels popping up all the time. People on Instagram, constantly finding new carnivores on Instagram and on Facebook. I started a Facebook page, just Who's Your Carnivore. If you search Facebook, you'll find it. It's got a picture of me gnawing on a bone, a big tomahawk bone. And so you're on the right one when you see that. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is a wonderful community to be a part of. Whether you're just getting started or you've been in it, you've been on carnivore for a year, 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, look at Kelly Hogan. She's almost doing it 20 years, and she's still a huge part of the community. So.
Exactly, for sure. Yeah, it's you know, it is a community. It is a kind of a family atmosphere, but it's also, I think we're building an army. That's what I like to look at. We're building an army to fight against the agendas, and there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of people that don't want us to get the truth out there. There's a lot of people that don't want us to spread this message, and there's a lot of people that don't want people to see our example, to see things that they say, to see Carrie Mann's heart murmur get healed, to see my congestive heart failure get healed, to see people lose 400 or 500 pounds without Ozempic or gastric bypass,
Yeah.
They heal autoimmune disorders, heal diabetes like it's nothing. Like diabetes is almost like how at this point
it's easy now.
Yeah,
it's an easy cure.
Exactly.
And if you wanted examples, go into any one of Dr. Barry's videos. Don't even watch the video. Just go through the comments and read the comments that people leave. It's unbelievable. And there's thousands of comments on every video.
Yep, for sure. 100%. And everybody is just like, I can't believe this worked. Like if carnivore was a drug, it would be the number one selling drug, and the enders would push it all day long and tout it as the miracle drug we're all looking for because it did everything. It'd have Pulitzer prizes. I mean, it literally would be a miracle. It would be on the cover of every magazine.
Right. Well, Chafee was on, it was a Woman's World a few months back.
That's because Chafee looks like he's sculpted out of granite and lust for women, but also so he got the woman's vote when he was slicing steak with his shirt off. But he's
not slicing broccoli. He's
not slicing broccoli.
Chopping up some kale.
And that's the exact thing we want everybody to know. When you see Kiltz, who is just very healthy dude, right? When you see Baker, who is ripped and setting, rowing records at, 53 or 54 or whatever he is.
Yeah, he's my age.
Yeah, when you see Chafee, that's just ripped, and all these guys, and they're medical doctors, and they're carnivores eating all this stuff that's supposed to make us fat and sick and unhealthy and miserable.
Yeah.
And then they're sitting there being the example. That's what I want everybody to see. And then, you got Bill Gates walking around all frumpy, all fat and chubby and, miserable.
Trying to get us to eat fake meat.
Yeah, wanting to eat bugs and fake meat, saying this is healthy. You got all of our health ministers around the world that are all like fat and hormonally confused and mentally ill, sitting here telling us how to get healthy. It's like, I mean, since when do you tell, you have the, the insane asylum patients telling everybody how to get sane. It's like, why
Mm-hmm.
are we even entertaining this? So we got to start showing that optics of healthy, educated, smart doctors that are going, no, we've been lied to too. That's why I will support those guys to the end, and I love them for bucking the system. Right? It's not easy to be a doctor. Look what they did to Jordan Peterson. They come after your license. They try to ruin
Yeah.
you if you don't carry the water for the big food, big pharma, really BlackRock and those companies. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Well, this is a good comment to end on here. It's so easy, and there's no looking back. Right? I don't know
Amen.
about you, but I'm a carnivore forever.
100%. Yeah, this isn't a diet. It isn't a fad. This is my future. That's what
Right.
it is.
It's a lifestyle, and it's the proper human diet.
For sure.
So
PhD.
it's hard to argue with the results, and just keep on getting out the message and leading by example. And brother, I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks and shake your hand.
Heck yeah. Me too, man. It'll be a good time. I can't wait. And yeah, we'll talk later. And I think I'm picking you up.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So I'll have to get that written down into my phone so I make sure. And then you can hopefully I should know. I'm getting it a day earlier than you, so I should know where all the terminals are by that time. I would hope so.
All right, buddy. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to end the live stream. Thank you for everybody who came in and joined. I think I saw at one time we were up to 54 or 56, which is killer for my little channel. So thanks everybody for who commented and shared and asked questions. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time on the Meat Locker.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
See y'all.